Algeria, Canada, Rwanda, and South Korea citizens from those 4 nations, along with 11 others, will be allowed to visit the European Union starting tomorrow. But Americans, they will not be due to our soaring cases. But before New York, New Orleans, and the other early hotspots inside the U.S. raged, there was Italy and also Spain. But now, while beaches in parts of California and Florida are once again shutting down, this was a scene in Barcelona. Now, how did the EU and U.S. fare so differently? Maggie Rulli files this report from France.
American Katie Gamby lives in France with her husband and their 3 little girls. They live in the city of Versailles, a short ride from Paris, and also home to Louis XIV's famously majestic castle and grounds. But when COVID hit, the country she now calls home and the city that attracts tens of millions of visitors every year became a shell of its former self.
It was pretty intense.
With Paris's most iconic and beloved sites shuttered. But after months of lockdown, France and the rest of Europe will start to welcome back some international travelers tomorrow. The Eiffel Tower reopening its doors just last week.
This is the iconic view of Paris, and for so many people around the world, the Eiffel Tower's reopening is a sign of hope.
But for Americans, these iconic European scenes that are on so many people's bucket lists will remain off limits for the foreseeable future. The EU announcing that for now, it will not allow U.S. travelers into the bloc.
The biggest difference in the U.S. is that we have this clash of messages where some political leaders are saying, get back to work, get back to your social life. There's nothing to worry about. While public health leaders are saying, this is serious, social distance, wear masks, and wash your hands. It doesn't work unless as a nation, we're all on the same page about what needs to be done.
The U.S. is seeing an uptick of infections in 32 of its states, while Europe has flattened its curve. 29 out of 31 countries saw an 83% drop in infections since April 9th. While Europe, like the U.S., had a slow and chaotic initial response to the pandemic, once the severity of the problem became apparent, many countries then reacted swiftly. On March 9th, Italy's prime minister announced a total shutdown, restricting all movements inside the country. France and Spain followed suit that same week, fining people for just being outside.
Even to go out jogging, I needed a note to go out, a signed note, timed note, even to go to the grocery store.
But while the U.S. imposed travel restrictions to and from the EU, 9 states imposed no stay-at-home orders. 6 states had orders that lasted less than a month. In contrast, full lockdowns in Italy, France, and Spain lasted about 2 months, and the countries slowly and cautiously eased out of them as their case numbers declined.
What you see across Europe is that they've been applying the public health approach to controlling this. They're identifying cases quickly, they're tracking them to see who's had contact, and they're making sure that everyone who's at risk is able to isolate or quarantine so they don't spread this infection. That's not been happening across the United States.
In France, President Macron showcased face masks, making it part of the nation's identity. While in the United States, President Trump has yet to publicly embrace wearing a face mask.
Would you want to go back to the U.S. right now?
Honestly, no. And I'm not really going to put my kids in a place where that I know that they're at risk. So it's keeping us safe for as long as we can is kind of the priority.
But European officials' decision to leave Americans out of the tourist season is hitting home. Katie worked for a tour company in Paris.
This is like the nail in the coffin. 90% of our clientele were Americans.
Tourism accounts for about 10% of the EU's GDP and employs more than 11% of its population. They desperately need tourists, but with cases soaring stateside, Europe doesn't think Americans are worth the risk, and the priority remains keeping their case count low. Clusters popping up across the continent are a constant reminder that until there's a vaccine, the virus will continue to be a threat. Germany recently saw a spike with 1,500 new cases from a meatpacking plant, prompting the shutdown of 2 German counties. And in France, though the country reported only 280 new cases yesterday, fear still looms.
I mean, what did you think when you got that text last night and there was an outbreak at your daughter's school?
It was panic again. It was definitely stress and panic. I mean, there's just so much we don't know that I'd rather just keep safe and be safe than sorry.
It's a delicate dance the European economy will have to navigate. Countries attempting to regain some of the business lost, while hospitals prepare for a second wave. As this tourist season kicks up, Europe is testing in real time if their success in containing the spread will last. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Paris.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.